Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's video is brought to you by Bex, and I will be sharing my nonfiction November 2021 TBR. This is one of my favorite things that happens every year. It's hosted by Olive over at A Book Olive. I will link her video down below if you want to get all the details of what exactly this is. But in a nutshell, it's a reading initiative to get people to read more nonfiction. I am an avid nonfiction reader myself, so in the month of November, I challenge myself to read just nonfiction, and Olive always comes up with a couple words that are guidelines, prompts to sort of help you pick out books to read if you want to. If you want the challenge, you're welcome to do it however you like, as long as you're reading nonfiction. I like to use the challenge words because it helps me narrow down what books I'm going to read, because I have a lot on my TBR. So I have 5 books to share today, 4 to go with each of the prompts, and then a little bonus book. So let's get started. The first prompt this year was collection, and I interpreted that as a collection of stories, so I decided to grab Chernobyl Prayer by Svetlana Alexievich. This may be known to you as another title. This is actually the UK title of the book. It was published in the US and probably some other places as Voices from Chernobyl. I feel like this book got a resurgence when the HBO series came out. That HBO series did reference experiences that are talked about in this book to sort of build out the writing and the setting of that show. This book was originally written in Russian, and it was translated by Anna Gunin and Arch Tate. It is a collection of oral histories. Svetlana interviewed hundreds of people who were living in Pripyat or were directly involved with what happened at Chernobyl, and weaves their stories together to create this narrative, but this nonfiction narrative about what happened there. I have opened this book before and read a little bit of it, and it seems like it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get through, but in that hopefully rewarding way. This might be one where I should start it at the beginning of the month and try and read a little bit every day so I make sure I get to it at the end. This is a book that I really wanted to read this year. It was on my list of books I wanted to read in 2021, so I'm really glad that it fit the prompt for this nonfiction November round. The next prompt is industry, and when I first saw that pop up, I was wondering what on earth I was going to choose, and then I looked at my TBR and remembered that I have this book, which is Untapped: The Scramble for Africa's Oil by John Gazvinian. So this book talks about the oil industry, so you can't get much more straightforward than that. This one is a book that follows John as he travels through 12 different African countries that have been affected by oil, and he also interviews many different people from all walks of life who've somehow been affected by the scramble for Africa's oil. This book was published in 2007, so there may be some information in here that's outdated. There's obviously going to be things that have happened since then, but I feel like anything that's more historical that it talks about obviously would still be helpful and accurate, and definitely something I should learn a bit more about. The third prompt is style, and this is one that I feel like there's been a range of interpretations for, which is really cool. In my case, I decided to go for the style of the book cover, how the book looks, and for that I chose The Children's Blizzard by David Laskin. Now at first this might not look like a book that you would necessarily choose for style, but I feel like the point of it is it's very subtle, because on the edge of the book here, some books have that flap, but normally it's a straight edge. In this case, it's all wavy, and I feel like the choice to do that was because this book is about a blizzard, it's about snow, and I feel like this is supposed to look like a snowdrift or a pile of snow next to a house. So kind of an interesting style choice, hence me choosing it for this. The Children's Blizzard is about a cold front that came through the Dakota Territory, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota in January 1888. And it was this front that came down from Canada, so it brought this Arctic air with it. And when it arrived on the prairies, it caused the temperature to drop 18 degrees in 3 minutes. Fahrenheit, but still, that's a huge drop when it's already probably pretty cold, and this thing swept through, and by the next morning there was, I mean, one of the points at least that it says on the inside here is that there was just a bunch of children that were just dead on the prairie. So probably why it's called the Children's Blizzard. I'm just so curious to learn exactly what happened during this. On the front here, it says that it reads like a thriller, which is kind of cool. And this is also a book that when I do read it will fulfill a couple different prompts for things I wanted to finish this year. So this is my top priority book from this TBR. The final prompt is treatment, and this is one that I've also seen interpreted a lot of different ways. For me, I took it as the treatment of people or a particular person, so I decided to grab We Have Always Been Here, which is a queer Muslim memoir by Samra Habib. Because this is a memoir, Samra's going to reflect on the treatment that she's experienced at different times in her life. She's an Ahmadi Muslim, so there were Islamic extremists that were threatening her and her family. They came to Canada as refugees, and then here she experienced racism, what it's like to be treated as a refugee, and then also as a queer woman. So we're coming at it from a lot of different angles here. It's not a very big memoir, but I feel like it's really going to pack a big punch. Lastly, I have my bonus book that didn't really fit any of the categories, but it's a book that I really wanted to read in 2021, and it's nonfiction, so I figured I'd throw it in the pile, and if I get to it, great. That is 1776 by David McCullough. This is a book I have had on my shelves for a very long time. I feel like I got it at a library book sale when this channel first came into being. Am I remembering that correctly? Anyway, it's been here a long time, and I really have the itch to read it. I just haven't had the right moment to pick it up. This looks at the year 1776 in the context of the American Revolution, following George Washington, but also a bunch of other players in that war, that arena, both British and American from what I understand. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot in here, and it'll bring back some of that AP US history that's floating around in there somewhere. It's a big book, so I don't necessarily think I'll finish it in the month of November, but if I can at least start it, make a dent in it, that'd be great. Those are the 5 books that I will attempt to read during Nonfiction November. Please share with me down below if you're participating and what books you would really like to read, whether you're following the prompts or not. If you're a fellow booktuber who has made a video TBR, feel free to let me know as well, and I'll go check it out. As always, all of our links are in the down bar. You can go check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.